I could pull a better podcast out of my head. Hey, kids, welcome to the Tempest Universe.
China.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
It's China to me, China.
Army officers say the missile, found sometime last week, has been inspected at Roswell, New Mexico, and sent to Wright Field, Ohio, for further inspection.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside.
China.
This is the Tempest Universe, man. Hold on to your ass. You're in for a hell of a ride.
Welcome to the Monday edition of the Tempest Universe. I'm your host, Manny. And today is President's Day in the good old U.S. of A. Back in the day, wasn't this George Washington's birthday, or was it Lincoln? Did they just combine it all to one day? Because these guys were recognized at different times of the year, and we just got lazy as shit about it and decided to put it all on one damn day. The podcast is not about dead presidents, though I wish you had more of them in my pockets. This is the Tempest Universe, the podcast that goes over mainly recent news stories that cover UFOs, aliens, UAPs, Tic Tacs, and all of those. If you don't know what I'm talking about, then you really need to start somewhere. You need to do a Google search and bring yourself up to date. I got 4 articles for today, and there's actually one where, sorry, my nose is a little runny, but I don't know why. About Jacques Vallée, which is interesting. So we're going to talk about that. I really don't talk about Jacques Vallée on the podcast at all because, again, he's an oldie but goodie, but he's still alive doing his thing. So we'll talk about Jacques and the recent article about Mr. Vallée. And many of you who are experiencers are going through the same thing that Jacques Vallée is going through right now. You like my French? It's wonderful, I know. A couple of announcements. Number one is I am so beat up. There is something about, getting a new place. And that's what's happening right now at the Moonraker establishment. We're getting a new place. We've spent the last 4 days. Actually, I lie. I quit halfway through today. The last 3.5 days, painting and doing stuff like that. There is a lot of pride in, fixing your place up to look the way you want it to, but the actual physical part of it, painting room after room is BS. Anybody who says you should do the shit yourself and not pay someone to come in with a spray gun and spray the shit out of your walls is nuts. Literally, I am hurting in places I never knew. And let me tell you, I've done some serious shit. I've destroyed benches and shelves. I've painted. I've done all kind of stuff the last 3.5 days. And I feel like for the next 4 days, I'm still going to be feeling the pain of giving my spin on things. I'm not sure it's worth it. I'm going to have to go on Angie's list and try to figure out who the hell else can do this. I don't feel like doing it. Anyway, besides that, the Edinburgh UFO conference / festival, Ronnie Dawson, Mr. 17 himself, is going to be there. And I believe he will be giving his story. He'll be presenting at this UFO conference. Now, last year, the Edinburgh, Texas UFO conference. Now, this is, if you've heard me complain about the Rio Grande Valley, Edinburgh is part of that area. So there might be a lot of SpaceX haters there. But still, the Edinburgh conference last year was, conference / festival, was canceled last year. It was supposed to happen around April. And they postponed it really. They didn't cancel it because of the whole COVID thing. And they postponed it to August, and then it got canceled. Then it was no. Because, during the summer, COVID kind of took a dive. It was it looks like everything's getting better. And then, lo and behold, the shit hit the fire. The Wuhan flu rose again. in another version. So that's going to happen April 7th, 8th, and 9th. So I'm going to make a concerted effort to get down there. And, hopefully what I'm hoping to get out of this is at least spend some time with the man, the legend, number 17, Ronnie Dawson, and a few other people. So if you're in Texas and you have shit to do on that weekend, please come down to the Edinburgh Festival/Conference and enjoy the story, right? Because Edinburgh had a UFO situation, and this is why we have a conference down there. I don't really want to go into it because we don't really know who's going to be there yet. I haven't seen any confirmations for other speakers, but I know Nick Pope has been there. I know Daryl Sims has been there, and on and on. So there is, I'm sure, going to be a pretty good lineup of people who are going to make up for last year not happening. So we'll see. And included in those will be Ronnie, myself, and anybody else that joins the Tempest Universe. Now, Ronnie was wondering if I was going to have like a table there where I set up Tempest Universe stuff and, hand out some goodies and harass people. No. I don't think that's the way I want to go. And the reason being is the last time I did that, I was poured out of my skull. I like, going through and sitting with people and stuff like that. And actually, it's a lot more fun because there's a lot of people there who are experiencers who go to these conferences not because they want to dress up like aliens or put antennas on their pooches. It's because they actually want to be around people who've seen things, experienced things, have been abducted or been followed by an orb or something like that. So that really is the part of the conferences. It's a bit more fun for me rather than just standing at a table, hoping that somebody comes by and says, hey, blah, 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 yada, 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 etc., etc. I don't need that. I want to talk to the people. This time I'm going to come armed with cameras, microphones, so it's going to be ugly. I promise you. It's not going to be a pretty sight. So get ready for that. It's going to be great. And Area 51 visit in May. I actually have some dates. Believe it or not, I booked everything about 30 minutes ago. Got everything finalized except for the vehicle. And if you ask me right now what the dates are, I couldn't even tell you. It's sometime in mid-May. Apart from that, I can't tell you. When we get closer, I'll let that out. But if you are a member of the Discord, you'll know sometime this week. True story, hashtag it. Other than that, we're going to get this thing started. That was enough announcements to make. 7 freaking minutes into the podcast. This is crazy. I've never taken this long. So as usual, we're going to play a track because that's what we do. And then we'll jump into the first story for today. Check this out.
You think you know me? Say I'm as cold-hearted as they come. You think I'm slowly cutting my ties with you, that I'm done. Here's what you don't know. Feelings, they grow slow. I've just been caring for mine. Now I can feel it. Now I believe it. Baby, tonight is the night. I'm gonna call you up in the name of love. as cold-hearted as they come. You think I'm slowly, no, 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 cutting my ties with you, that I'm done. But I'm not done with you. But I'm not done with you. I'm gonna call you up in the name of love. Gonna call you up and tell you that I'm not giving up in the name of love. I'm not giving up yet on you. In the name of love, in the name of love. In the name of love, in the name of love.
We have put together, I think, the most extensive and inclusive voter fraud organization in the history of American politics. What are we doing? What's going on right now?
First article is about Jacques Vallée. Now, like I said at the intro, it took too damn long. I really stay away from Jacques Vallée because Jacques Vallée represents the, how can I say, the old school of ufology. You know what I mean? And I'm trying to keep the podcast away from that. There's a lot of legacy incidents, in ufology that are fantastic. And then there's a lot of legacy ufology that are attached to certain people. Jacques Vallée is one of them. Jacques Vallée is one of the names that are synonymous with the early days of ufology. Let's be honest. That's just the way it is. But I think there's so much more now. There's so much more in data, in sightings, and the way people report things than what happened way back when. But after 6 decades, according to this article of Jacques Vallée, going through the world, globetrotting, going all over the place, investigating and trying to get his meat hooks. I don't know if he has meat hooks. His meat hooks into what ufology is. He still doesn't know. And really, that's not. I'm not making fun of Jacques Vallée. I'm just saying, for you guys who spent like 30 years, 20 years, 10 years trying to figure out what the hell your sighting was or what you experienced, and you don't know, guess what? There's people out there like Jacques Vallée who've been at this for way longer and still have zero answers. Jacques Vallée, who started as a French information scientist, is still searching. He's still trying to figure this out. There's a story in here back in summer of 2018. Again, not too long ago. We're looking at 3 3/4 years. Apparently, he was meeting with Max Platzer, who was the editor of a top aeronautics journal. And, Jacques Vallée, he brought in a clump of metal. It wasn't really small. It was pretty big. Jacques explained to Platzer at that point that he actually had this thing for about 40 years. And it came from a UFO incident in Council Bluffs, Iowa. Now, how does a French guy come up with UFO artifact from Council Bluffs, Iowa? This is how much he's traveled. If anything, you can say that Jacques Vallée has put in his time to figure out this UFO situation. The story, according to the article, is that on a Saturday night in late 1977, firefighters and police responded to calls about a roundish reddish object with blinking lights. This particular thing that was hovering over the treetops, over a public park no less, dumped a mass onto the ground. The mass was about the size of 4 by 6 foot puddle of what people describe as metal. Almost looked like lava to some of the folks. The grass around this puddle of lava, of molten metal, was set on fire. 11 people gave similar descriptions of this object. And the question at the time was, could it have been a hoaxer that could have taken molten lava to the park to pour it and create a UFO hoax in 1977? Who the hell runs around with molten lava? And who the hell can hold molten lava over treetops and then dump it and then scurry off in a reddish object with blinking lights? It's a very strange situation. But these are some of the stories that Jacques Vallée has gone out and he has researched. Vallée was born in 1939 in Pontoise, France. I don't even know if I said that right. So if you guys in France, I mean, you're probably wondering what the hell I said anyway, so you don't even know what the city is. It's either Pontoise or Pontoise, France, in 1939. So he completed his undergraduate degree in mathematics at the University of Paris in 1959 and an MS in astrophysics from the University of, Lille Nord de France in 1961. He ended up moving to the United States in 1962, and he became a research associate of astronomy at the University of Texas at Austin, right up the road, about an hour. Crazy. Jacques Vallée also, while at the McDonnell Observatory, he compiled NASA's first detailed informational map of Mars. This is no, Johnny come lately, Johnny come toi. He's not. Jacques Vallée is the real deal. He's a scientist. This is what he does. And it turns out that he has some incidents. He had things in his life that drove him to investigate these things. In 1963, he relocated to Chicago, Illinois, and he was employed as a systems analyst at Northwestern University while he was pursuing ufology under the one and only J. Allen Hynek, who at the time was the chair of the university's astronomy department. J. Allen Hynek, the same Hynek that is known as the father of ufology. Jacques Vallée has his own sightings that you can see. He was driven by his sightings, like many people that we know on the podcast that we've heard from, people that you know in your own personal lives, or even yourself. Jacques Vallée cited his first unidentified flying object, UFO, back in Pontoise in France in May of 1955. 6 years later, he had another incident in 1961. He was working on the, part of the staff of the French Space Committee, and he says that he witnessed the destruction of tracking tapes to an unknown object that was orbiting the planet. This is where it gets serious, right? So here you are, with Jacques Vallée, and there you find an object that apparently was in retrograde satellite, meaning it was at a completely different orbit around the planet than other normally satellites are sent into. They're basically going in the opposite direction of the Earth's rotation. At the time that the team and Jacques Vallée had actually found or discovered this retrograde satellite, there were no rockets. In 1961, that could propel a satellite fast enough with enough power so that it could be in a retrograde orbit around the planet. The team apparently was really excited at what they found because they assumed that what happened was that the Earth's gravity had caught itself a satellite. Then apparently someone came in, identified as a superior of the team, and erased all the tapes. It was things like this and all the stories that Jacques Vallée came across that continued to fuel his need for research, his need for solving the ufology mystery. But after 6 decades, there are no answers. There are a lot of people out there who feel the same way. So when we put folks like Nick Pope, Jacques Vallée, and all these other people on pedestals because they are the mouthpieces of ufology, just know that their experiences are no different than yours. If you've seen a UFO, if you experienced something, it's unexplained. Even to these guys who have spent most of their lives following, tracking, investigating, globe-trotting from one continent to another, looking for answers, can have all come up short. I mean, hell, Jacques Vallée actually had metamaterial, I guess you could call it, right? It is evidence, physical evidence from a UFO incident. Can you still no closer from the point that he got that material going back to when he had his own experiences? The article itself is fantastic, but I think the point is here that it takes time, much longer than we have in our own lifetimes. And more than likely, you guys listening right now, myself and anybody else, we will pass before we get answers. You'll probably pass and, get answers after you kick the bucket, to be honest. Let's all understand that. We'll probably know in spirit form what the hell UFOs are, but not while you're alive. Forget about it. You could just, nothing. You're not going to get it. The article about Jacques Vallée, it is entertaining. It is really long. This is like, if you had today off in the United States because of President's Day, it's definitely like a 2 to 3 day shitter read. You can sit down and do it in parts, like it was a miniseries on ABC back in the 70s. Read it in parts. Give yourself 3 days on the shitter before you can finish it. But there's a lot of information about Jacques Vallée's history and what he experienced, some of the things he's been telling people about why the mystery isn't being solved, and why he thinks he may never have an answer in his lifetime. Check it out. It's a pretty cool read. We'll be back after this track with some more madness in Hawaii.
Clear without it. I don't need you.
You have a report dealing with UFOs, a significant sighting that actually has Scottsy Waring, Pareidolia Pete, attached to it. This is quite fascinating. Initially I was fascinated by the title of this, and then, I was reading through it, and it's like, oh, Scottsy Waring, UFO sightings daily, Pareidolia Pete strikes again. But apparently, outside of his reporting, other folks reported the same thing. Now, this is weird, right? Because I thought Scottsy Waring was out in the Philippines or something like that. Somewhere out that way. But I guess he was watching the Oahu live cam. I mean, look, I just don't know. He watches everything. Like, literally. I feel like he might have created an AI just to, look at NASA pictures and videos and watch Oahu live on vid. I don't know. He's like everywhere all at the same time. I don't understand this. I don't even think Scottsy Waring's a real person. I think he's like some kind of artificial intelligence that went rogue and is now following UFOs everywhere. This object apparently was pointed out by locals in Hawaii the day after folks in Hawaii had raised concerns about something else being in the sky of another part of the islands. So these are back-to-back sightings. Reported by multiple witnesses, this incident happened over the island of Oahu on Tuesday, February 12th. I can't even get that right. But they gave us a muamua, so fuck. You can't blame me for that one. According to UFO Sightings Daily, which is Pareidolia Pete's website, F-22s were actually caught responding to this particular series of UFOs. This object was actually seen stationary for quite some time by local folks. So it's not uncommon that you find people, when they say strange things, and they're into Twitter, they will tweet the shit out of it. And that's what happened in this case. So not only do we have Pareidolia Pete going on his blog, and according to him, several people recently saw a white orb, which I really hate orbs, in Hawaii, and one said aviation person reported several F-22s were alerted to a UFO in the area. According to him, he was watching the live cam in Oahu, and he could actually see the orb coming out of the clouds and then moving straight up, exiting the cloud and turning 90 degrees up into space. But the thing is that he wasn't alone. So this isn't just, Pareidolia Pete telling us that the galactic family and its federation was chilling over Hawaii, trying to get some of that poi. No, that's not what was going down. There were other people who took to Twitter. One person says, "Can anyone explain this unidentified flying object in the sky?" Another person asked on Twitter, "Can anyone explain?" Another person actually stated, "It has been stationary for at least 30 minutes. No one in Hawaii can figure out what it is at NASA." I don't think NASA really gives a shit about stationary stuff in the sky. And they probably do, but they're not going to tell us. Someone else on Twitter says someone who works in aviation on the island received communications that there were F-22s intercepting a UFO. The aviation person told me that the UFO is many miles offshore from Princeville over the ocean. It remained in one spot for at least 40 minutes. Crazy. This is social reporting. This is what really makes things fascinating, right? But you're never going to know why those F-22s, and if there were F-22s, why they would be responding to this UFO. Now, when you take a look at their reporting over the summer from the government and the term bad actors, I would think that we can scratch Russia out of those potential bad actors in UFOs, being that they're a bit busy in the Ukraine. I don't think they would be flying strange UFOs over Hawaii at this time. Unless Putin took one of his UFOs out there for a little vacay before he goes in to start some shit in the Ukraine. Who knows? Came in China and someone from Korea. They all just got together to check out the digs in Hawaii. The best thing about the story is that not only do we have people reporting it, and of course we have a Pareidolia Pete involved, but the fact is that people are taking to Twitter. They're reporting things. They're taking pictures. They're showing images. They're wanting to have answers about what the heck is going on. And for a UFO to sit for 40 minutes stationary in the sky, come on. Somebody has got to have an explanation. And if F-22s were really scrambled to intercept this UFO, there has to be a reason for it. The other thing is, I don't think too many F-22s are going to hit a 90-degree turn and go into the stratosphere after a UFO. So what happened after this UFO disappeared? Did the Air Force continue to patrol the Hawaiian Islands, being that this was a second day of this mysterious object being seen over the skies of the islands of Hawaii? There's just too many questions, absolutely too many questions to figure out. Now, it turns out, after all of that F-22s were apparently sent to intercept an unmanned balloon, according to Hawaii News Now. I can't. You see what I mean? You got the buildup. Here's the F-22 intercepting a UFO, but according to Hawaii News, it was just a hot air balloon. An unmanned balloon that the F-22s were responding to. This is what we deal in ufology. And you wonder why Jacques Vallée is so freaking disappointed. I mean, he's in his 80s, and this is what he gets in the news. So, could it have been? Could a hot air balloon, unmanned hot air balloon, taken off at a moment's notice after hovering for 40 minutes, get a 90-degree turn into space? I don't know. It feels completely far-fetched. We'll see what happens. We'll see what other pictures come out of this incident, but it stands that, as usual, with UFO reports, we have a stalemate. Somebody says it was UFO, that they've been harassed for days over Hawaii, and now the military sent F-22s after a balloon. It doesn't get better than this. I don't understand. I don't understand how the Air Force does not know that there is no need to send F-22s after a damn balloon. You can't write this stuff. You really can't. But we have three sides here. We got Pareidolia Pete, who we know is all about spreading the UFO gossip that's unfounded. We've got the people who reported it, who apparently could not tell that was a balloon. And then we got the Air Force sending F-22s after a balloon. You just can't write this stuff. It's just the way it is. Check out the article in the description. And please, keep your damn balloons to yourself. This next one is for you guys across the pond over there in the UK. And it's about your boy Paul O'Grady, who also has an alter ego by the name of Lily Savage, because he's a drag queen. He has a show which apparently has been taken off the air until May. Now I couldn't find why it was taken off the air, but Paul O'Grady has had these situations when it comes to aliens. Paul O'Grady feels that aliens are watching him. They follow him. They're keeping a close eye on him. He's a TV and radio host on the BBC Radio 2. And what can I say? Aren't we all being watched? I mean, is it Lily Savage or is it Paul O'Grady? Who is it? Who's being watched? Maybe it's both. He says once he spotted a UFO hovering over his back garden at around 2 a.m. in the morning. Why are you, Paul? Why are you out there at 2 a.m. in your back garden being watched by aliens? That's pretty freaky. He says ever since the incident, he's convinced that aliens from another planet are watching him. He's even had visions of himself waking up and coming face to face with an extraterrestrial being. I would imagine that for someone who feels that he's being tracked or watched by aliens, that would be a pretty damn scary dream. That would be a nightmare. Can you imagine that? Just having that dream where an alien's at the foot of your bed and you wake up and they've got the most shiniest, largest probe ready to go. Scary. He says that at one time he was listening to Kim Wilde, who is a singer, and she was going on about aliens. She says, we've got him in Kent. I'm serious over Folkestone, Dungeness, and Hythe. He was watching a show where Kim Wilde she just bared it all her alien angst just came all out, and he made that connection with her. He knew it's happening to me too. In this interview that Kim Wilde was giving, she said she had witnesses. She wasn't going out of her mind. She knows. There are light formations in the sky. We don't know what they are, they exclaim. That's what they're saying. O'Grady says there are flares that are not being sent up by the army, so he feels that these are just really aliens. This is E.T. He says people don't know. He says it's like he's taking his dog at times around the orchard, and he'll look up and he'll see weird lights. He feels he's being observed. Again, at 2 a.m. Listen, the easy way around this, Paul, is don't go outside at 2 a.m. You and old Lily Savage need to keep your asses in your house around that time. Once it hits 11 p.m., go to bed. Don't take any of the Xanax or anything else. Just go to bed. It's going to be okay. I'm telling you, if you see ET at 2 a.m. every day, it's not a good time for you. You and Lily need to stay inside. Now, again, this situation that Paul O'Grady is talking about when he was watching Kim Wilde was back in 2018. Kim Wilde claimed back in 2018 that she had been seeing UFOs and aliens, and she says they're keeping an eye on us. Mainly because they're disappointed at the planet. Humanity sucks. She says when she had a UFO sighting, helicopters and bright lights came towards them. she felt that maybe the helicopters were after some of the aliens that she's been spotting at the time. But after the helicopters left, the lights remained behind in a cloud in the sky, even though many of her friends were telling her that maybe she was hitting the Pinot Grigio just a little bit too hard. She also was looking up between the early morning hours. And she says this UFO moved from 11 o'clock to 2 o'clock. And then again, it did it again from 2 o'clock to 11 o'clock. And a smaller one joined. She says at the point of the sighting, her husband went running to find something to film it. But she couldn't go anywhere. She was like stuck. She had to watch it because it inspired her. It was a UFO. And she couldn't believe that she saw it. I would think I would be too. Like there's a lot of people out there who pull out their phones and stuff like that. Well, we know, if it happens at anywhere after the sun goes down, your phone is shit. It's not going to catch it. It's not going to do it justice. But I would think that really one of the last things that I would think about is grabbing my phone, to be honest, because I would be pretty stuck on trying to figure out what the hell this is. And I would stick to it. I would just sit there and watch it. She went on to say that she feels that aliens are just, pissed off at us. They don't like us. We're a bunch of idiots. And they don't like the way we treat each other. And there's something here that's pretty funny because she says they're probably sitting around holding conferences talking about what they are going to do with this lot. Listen, aliens at this point aren't going to do anything. Do they hold conferences? It's kind of funny, right? If you think about it, we hold conferences about UFOs. And then if you can imagine, the UFOs are holding conferences about us. Jeez. Talk about something not going anywhere. The funny thing about the whole story for me is that this idea that aliens are disappointed on what we do. Well, what the hell are they? They're like peeping Toms. They're literally watching us, probing us, taking our cattle, abducting us. Shit, I'm ashamed of them. And anyone who thinks that they're here to help us, guess what? They've got plenty of time to make their presence known, put a message out, send out a public service announcement. Hey, stop screwing around. Hey, Putin, don't take notes. Stay out of the Ukraine. You're disappointing us. We will get bigger probes for you. I would think that advanced civilization who's sitting around just watching us, who, feels disappointed that we're going to destroy the planet or kill off birds or turtles, that they would have the cojones to just say, hey, come on, cut it out. Just show up. Say something. But to continue to sit around and make themselves scarce, hiding behind technology or dealing with dark government figures, they're about as shitty as we are, to be honest. So forget about your happy-go-lucky aliens. They're useless, completely useless. There's more to the article if you want to read about it. I doubt many people are going to read about Paul O'Grady, unless you're in the UK and you like his show. But what can I say? It is what it is. One more to go. And this one takes us back to Pascagoula, Mississippi. This is interesting to say.
Said they wanna see my house. fucking scream at me?
Where's
you
the
dumb
money?
fuck you? Look at you with your fucking 48% body fat and
This next one takes us back to Pascagoula, Mississippi, 1973. And you know what this story is. You know what it is. This is the one with Calvin Parker and his buddy Hickson, who were out fishing where they shouldn't have been fishing, right? They shouldn't have been there, but they were. And guess what? They got abducted. The Pascagoula abduction of 1973, Charles Hickson and Calvin Parker. The thing that weirds me out about this specific incident, besides what we're going to talk about right now, is the aliens. These aliens in Pascagoula are so different from anything else. They are so crazy. Calvin Parker at the time was 19 years old. He said himself and Hickson were buddies. They were going fishing, and they were grabbed by weird creatures. Some of them had like lobster-like claws and carrot-like noses and ears. You look at robots from back in the day, especially at that time. These could have been like, I don't know, light bulbs, probes. I don't know. Would you probe someone with your nose? I have no idea. But this is what he reported, and it's one of those stories, like when I first read about the Pascagoula abduction incident, I was like, this can't be real. This cannot be real. But still, to this day, Calvin Parker still says this actually happened. 1973 was a real deal. We were abducted. The pier is on the west bank of the Pascagoula River, and what they saw was an oval-shaped craft. It was about 30 to 40 feet across and about 8 to 10 feet in height. What the hell? Even back then, that's a pretty big ship. He says that they were conscious but paralyzed, while 3 creatures with robotic slit mouths and crab-like pincers took them aboard the object and subjected them to an examination. One of them and Travis Walton can share some notes. Travis, his incident was completely different. He didn't have these comic book aliens come after him, to be honest. But Calvin Parker has come forward and said, hey, listen, I actually, during my abduction, was warned about COVID and World War III. I'm saying, it's kind of late right now, right? We're almost at the end of COVID. Why are you telling this now? Why do we need to know this? That you've held this secret? Like, you could have saved us from the Wuhan flu way before it actually, getting so severe. Calvin Parker, I guess right now he's about 68 years old. And he says he's been having visions. These visions he's kept to himself. But he thinks that, according to what he reported to the Mirror, that these things are happening, that they're coming true. So now he's coming out of the closet with it. He says that he was shown back in 73 some really horrible events from humanity's past. But then he was given things that haven't happened yet. One of them was like a plague. A horrible plague that would wipe out many people. And he says, hey, there's been plenty of plagues since the beginning of time. But according to the vision they gave him, the old pincer robots, that the plague that they showed him gets even worse than what we're experiencing right now. And here's a quote from what he says about his vision. It says it was caused by mankind, hashtag Wuhan, which is very bad because God is going to teach us a lesson and stay out of it before he steps back in. In addition to that, he was shown a vision of WW3. And he says that this particular conflict is actually on the horizon in light of the Russia-Ukraine tension. Like you people, you guys probably thought I was crazy to talk about Putin and Russia and the Ukraine the last couple of weeks, but here you go. Calvin Parker says there's a connection to his incident back in 1973. Is there? Could there be a spark out of the Russian-Ukraine incident? According to news reports, Putin has moved in his troops to the east side of Ukraine into separatist regions. Could this be the spark? Could this be what Calvin Parker saw back in 1973? I don't know. Like I said, it's quite convenient. You kind of wait 50 years, almost 50 years, to let us know that you received these visions. But what the hell? What can you do? What can you do? British UFO investigator Philip Mantle, who incidentally was interviewed as part of the UFO Buster Radio interviews. I think it was maybe the second or third year of that podcast. Philip Mantle has actually published Calvin's book, Pasca, The Closest Encounter. He said that Calvin finds it very difficult to discuss this aspect of his encounter, calling it a curse. So not only does Calvin Parker really believe that he was abducted by robots with lobster-like pincers, but he does believe also that he was given a message. Visions of the future that is to come. And again, these things drive me insane, because if you are an advanced robot pincing, alien abducting, Galactic Family Federation trotting maniac of so much technology, why wouldn't you help out? Why would you just leave Calvin Parker with all this information of all this disease to come, World War III, and not do something about it? Why would you abduct these two guys who are buddies out fishing and literally not give them anything, not arm them with a way to resolve this information after you've probed them and done all kind of things to them? It boggles the mind for me. I don't understand these incidents and these individuals sharing information, which at the end of the day, because I'm sure it wasn't well defined for Calvin Parker, he really couldn't do anything with it. Who was he going to tell? People are having a hard time even believing that he was abducted by anything, let alone about a coming threat of a major plague and then World War III. We'll see. Only time will tell if these robots with the pincers were accurate and the Ukraine incident does turn out to be what Calvin Parker saw as the potential of being the spark for the Third World War. But at this rate, after the Wuhan flu, anything could happen. Anything. I would not be surprised. This is the end of the podcast. We'll catch you again in 2 days on Wednesday. And maybe by then I'll remember what days is the Area 51 trip. But I'm going to capture that all on video, so you guys get ready, because you're going to see the madness of myself and anyone else that joins this road trip on YouTube. It's going to be fun. We'll just have to see who gets arrested. That's the part that's going to be fantastic. Ciao.
Scars. I'll brush you off just like the dust upon my shoulder. I have a hunch of who you are. Believe it or not, I got the strength to blow you over. I'm a hurricane, I'm bringing thunder and rain. I'm a hurricane if you get in my way. I'm a hurricane, always on top of my game. I'm a hurricane, I'm trying to get in my way. Hurricane, I'm bringing thunder and rain. I'm a hurricane if you get in my way. I'm a hurricane, always on top of my game. I'm a hurricane, I'm trying to get in my I'm a hurricane, I'm bringing thunder and rain. I'm a hurricane if you get in my way. I'm a hurricane, always on top of my game. I'm a hurricane, I'm trying to get in my way. Hurricane, I'm bringing thunder and rain. I'm a hurricane if you get in my way. I'm a hurricane, always on top of my game. I'm a hurricane, I'm trying to get in my way.
Today is the beginning of the end and the start of a new beginning. Time has come to redefine yourself and to let go of the demons in your head that have held you in captivity for so long. It's time to flip the page and prove them wrong. It's time for rebirth. Yeah, time's up to say goodbye to all the haters, doubters, and non-believers trying to bring you down. In the blink of an eye, you'll realize that there's so much more to the book than the page you were stuck on. Finally, you will be free to live a life you love living instead of the life you think other people want you to live. Remember, you are the highest authority when it comes to knowing what you want and what you love. So stop trading yourself for the approval from